to approve the agenda.
President Johnson, I want to make just one small correction on item 9, the director's reports of meetings attended, comments, and future agenda items. The Finance Committee, we did not meet on June 10th. We met on June 3rd. So I'm just going to make that correction on that one.
All right, good catch. With that, are there any other additions or subtractions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
So moved.
All right, a second.
Second.
Mark, we need to do a roll call.
Yes, on that one. I don't know why it's lagging on me here. Come on.
Is Mike with us?
Oh, yeah, where's Mike?
He was in
There
Kentucky
you
when
go.
I talked to him earlier.
So we're not all here.
I thought I saw Mike on there
I
earlier.
thought he was on there earlier.
Okay, well, let us know.
Okay.
Okay, President Johnson,
Aye.
Vice President Unger,
Aye.
Director Hund,
Aye.
Director Reynolds, absent, Director Flowen.
Aye.
All right, public comment, I'll refer back up to members of the public who wish to comment on an item on the agenda may submit comments by emailing Ms. Beverly 2 hours prior to the start of the meeting.
I don't have anything.
So do we have any?
No comments were received by email today.
All right, thank you very much. I'll move on to item number 6, public hearing to consider the water availability standby for fiscal year 2021. Again, I believe that's Susan Greer or Ann Roman, I'm not sure.
Susan tonight.
Okay, hi Suzanne.
Hey there. This is a routine item. Those of you who've been around for a while have revisited this topic each year. This is the 32nd time that I'm doing it. So at any rate, this is a requirement each and every single year, whether or not the rates or our methodology are changed. Again, we are not proposing any change to the rates or methodology. Nevertheless, we must hold this public hearing tonight. So the updated report is included. We're now calling it the standby report and not the engineer's report because it's no longer prepared by an engineer. There's no requirement for it to be prepared by an engineer. We're saving $1,500 by not having the stamp put on the report each year. And I think if you've laid it, by last year's report, it's substantially the same. So that's a bit of good news. Again, the district has no intention, there is no proposal to change any of the rates or methodology. I think I've shared many times before that standby rates were one of the very first resolutions of the district that were ever established. In fact, resolution number 11 established standbys for the very first time in the district. So I've looked at all those in the last month or so, so I know that for sure. Water availability charges are levied each and every year on all the parcels that are not exempt. Government land essentially is what is exempt. For the most part, since 1992, the board of directors has directed that the primary use of the standby charges is for the Morongo Basin pipeline. We used to pay quite a bit more for that. We had to pay operations and maintenance expense as well as debt service. Now we just pay debt service. To the extent that the revenues from standbys generate more revenues than costs we have outlined, we would use them for other legal purposes of the district. And to the extent that they were less than the cost that we've outlined, we've got to fund those from other district revenues. So the approved budget that you approved at the last meeting includes the standby charges of $1,137,000. The actual revenue to be generated is $1,183,822. So we will be generating a budget adjustment to increase the revenue, but also to increase that shortfall. Remember, we have very cautiously and conservatively predicted potentially a 10% revenue shortfall from standby. So we would also adjust that revenue shortfall account. That's approximately $46,800 additional revenue, and then a $4,682 shortfall. We published the notice as required in the High Desert Star. We have received no written protests prior to the meeting. I confirmed that today. So unless some have been received tonight, we have no protests to talk about. And as a result of this, we will apply $1,183,822 to the tax rolls for collection over the coming fiscal year. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, I'll start off with Director Hund, if we can.
No, Susan, just a very good report for the 32nd time. And that's very impressive. And no, I just wanted to comment that when I look at the summary of charges, how we would be are planning to use the money, that, you know, it's a real cross section of the activities and services that are necessary to maintain a safe, reliable water system. So when I think about a person that might be thinking, you know, why am I paying that fee if I have vacant land? Well, we have this, I'll say, beautiful water system, thanks to all of your efforts as staff and support from the board, and that has a lot of integrity and is growing integrity every day. And literally the day when someone decides to hook up to our system, they can count on, you know, hooking up to a safe, reliable system. You know, everything from pipeline debt to our capital improvement program to water supply monitoring to make sure that our drinking water is safe. I'm just so impressed by that, and I hope that, you know, when someone is asking that question sometime in some setting, that someone that knows about this can share that as an answer. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right, sure.
Director Florin?
Yeah, this is a sort of a historical thing that we do. I have noticed that it is heavily codified. Almost everything, this meeting, for example, and everything about standby fees is in the code. It's either in the water code or it's in the government code. Right down to this last part about being able to lien a person's property through their property tax. There's a code for that. Even. And so it's not like we're making this up. And so I don't really have any questions. I noticed that at the bottom here, we're supposed to have board discussion and action. I don't have a preference for either way, but yeah, suffice it to say now that, you know, I looked into this pretty carefully, and we absolutely have to do this. If you want me to make my comment now, it would be, or my discussion, it would be what I said last year. And that is that these items listed that we would be spending the money on, the cost is being shared by every property owner, which is something like 12 or 13,000 people.
Yes.
And if we did not do it this way, those items that are listed would have to be paid for by the 5,000 or so ratepayers. And so this is the preferred way to go, because there's no luxury here. These are real things that have to be paid for. And that 1.1 million, whatever, is something we must have. We can't cut 15% of our budget and expect to function. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Vice President Unger?
Yeah, Tom is right. And you know, our population is closer to 10,000, 5,000 connections and 10,000 people soaking wet. But it spreads the cost, and that's what, you know, we look to do. And a couple of weeks ago, President Johnson called me in a little bit of a flurry because people had misunderstood our public hearing on the standby fees, and that we were going to talk about raising the standby fees. And someone was all in a tizzy with President Johnson, and I thought, no, we do this every year. We never raise them. They're always the same. And it said so in the staff report. Well, I happened to find an old C107.7 online news story by Mike Lipsitz from June of 2017 that said, at tonight's meeting, the board will hold a public hearing on proposed increases to standby charges for the coming fiscal year. And standby fees are not always understood. And maybe wherever that idea comes that there's a raise, might be in the statement here on page 5 of 15 in the staff report. Top paragraph, it says, the actual revenue to be generated is 1.1 million. And a budget adjustment to increase the standby revenue. Doesn't say anything about increasing the standby rates or fees, that this will be an increase of the revenues generated by the standby charges. And I think if people see that, that's all they see is an increase and whatever and revenue. And so I think, hopefully that with all of our different board comments, and we can kind of put a few things to rest, things that Gary was saying. People do need to know how their taxes and fees are at work. I mean, you can see it in the Saddleback project there on the highway. And so all these things bring water to the desert. That's no small feat. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, Rebecca sort of stole my thunder, but since we are just, I'll piggyback on that just a tad and ask the rest of the question. Since the standbys have been standard since 1996, I think that's what's in the report. What if or how would they be raised if indeed they were to be raised?
That would require the district going out to an election process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the public would have plenty of advance notice, and there would be none of this, well, you guys are having a meeting and raising the rates and et cetera.
Yes, we'd have to send out mailed notice in advance of the public hearing indicating, you know, what those changes would be. People would have plenty of notice. We'd have to advertise, you know, there would be notification, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you very much. And with that, I think I can entertain a motion to...
At this time, President Johnson, we'd actually open up the public hearing and receive any public comments.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And I'll let you direct that. You have a bigger switchboard than I do.
Sure. So we'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this? Anyone? No one?
Well, good job, Susan. Mark,
Perfect.
staff, yay, and?
So we'll close that public hearing now, Bob, and any further discussion that you have or action can be made now.
All right, so any further board discussion, just go ahead and chime in. If not, then I'll ask for a motion to accept the resolution. Is that correct verbiage, Susan? Okay, all right.
I would just say that if we were ever going to raise the standby fees, it would involve us going into a study, like our rate study.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be a whole process, and it would take several months, and it would probably would be very controversial. But it would require us doing another big rate study. So it wouldn't be something that we would just say, hey, let's put this on the agenda.
Well, I'm glad I could share my joy with you. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the staff report. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, a second?
Second.
Thank you. Got a second. And General Manager will go ahead and call for the vote.
Sure. President Johnson?
Aye.
Vice President Unger,
Aye.
Director Hund,
Yes.
Director Flowen,
Aye.
and Director Reynolds is absent.
All right, thank you very much. Great job. Item number 7, Joshua Basin Water District Public Outreach Presentation, a year in review and looking forward. And I think this is Miss Kathleen.
Yes, and before I start, I am not in control of the clicker, so Mark,
The clicker's coming.
Hold on a second.
I think Mark's probably the only one that can see everybody. I get one. or two
there it
off.
is. He's
Okay.
gonna just have to follow along with me.
All righty.
Okay, are we ready? Well,
Ma'am.
I'm here to give you that overview of our strategy that's been employed over years, but specifically the last 12 months, and hopefully a sneak peek of what's to come. The number one thing is the art of communication is the language of leadership. This was quoted by James Humes. Mark. Click. There we go. Well, we missed one, Mark, but that's okay. Joshua Basin Water District is for the most part the only local Joshua Tree government entity, and being community owned, we are our customers, neighbors, and friends. What we do and say directly impacts all of us. And that being said, public outreach has a golden rule. It doesn't matter how timely, how accurate, how effective, or transparent we are. If we don't communicate it, it's lost on our community. Timeliness is the result of information gathered from many sources. We have to be positioned to gain current information right out the gate. Training and networking are key. This past year, public outreach actively participated or interacted with all the organizations that are listed on the screen. In other words, we attend lots of meetings to gather lots of information. Effectively empowering our community with information is a successful building block, creating lifestyle changes with water conservation. More and more residents want to live like a desert native. Numerous methods are employed to reach our diverse community. They come in with all different reasons, and we have to figure out what their button is and push it. And there's more. Wherever we are participating in the community, you can bet we have a water message to share. And we, aside from the ones on this screen, on the next screen, you'll see there's many one-time events like the Great Shakeout and Summer Splash and our radio campaigns and what we're doing with the hospitality industry. And we support other organizations like the Landscape Tours. So we need to be accurate. We need to say what we mean and mean what we say. The Saddleback Project's groundbreaking ceremony was proof, after many years of talk, that we were serious about repairing our infrastructure. Continued Capital Improvement Replacement Program, or the CIRP, updates remind our customers that rate increases are resulting in securing our water delivery system now and for the future, as we promised. And even though equipment was purchased for this task, we showed good stewardship, utilizing the new equipment otherwise to benefit our community when a water crisis hit. We must consistently validate what we promised we would do to build the trust. Rumor control is a tough part of public outreach. The best transparent defense is data. We are equipped with it at the farmers market, where longer discussions are had, bringing out and dispelling the craziest misconceptions. We also give data to the Citizens Advisory Council, even to the docents who help to spread the flow of communication. The public craves transparency. Data feeds that craving. Navigating the recent COVID-19 pandemic, we had to terminate many highly anticipated critical communication opportunities this past spring, some of which required months of planning in advance. A bummer, but it's the way it was. There's a saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is where our low-income assistance program is helping out. As you can see on the screen, we had 17 people who were assisted in January 1st through June 1st of this year at $50 each. 99 total since we started this program. August, September, and October tend to be the high request months for help. With a total of 13,300 placed in our account at the United Way since 2018, we still have 7,915 remaining as of the beginning of this month. And that's where the low-income assistance program stands right now. So looking forward in a perfect world on a perfect day and all things perfect, we hope to be returning to the market weekly. Still hasn't happened. The swamp cooler study is on. It's really on. July 30th, we have on a Thursday, we have the virtual leak detection class from 10 to 11 a.m. You'll hear more about that in the next upcoming newsletter. AWAC granted us money towards our 2021 district tours as well as to Water Education Day. We are planning a fall native plant sale on Sunday, September 27th here from 2 to 4 p.m. It's not the whole Water Education Day, it's just the plant sale. And we also are rescheduling our wildcrafting course for October, and it'll be every Friday. Now, what I saved for last was the BLM grant project. Bureau of Land Management grants were offered and we applied. This one is for the WaterWise demonstration garden to further our outdoor classroom, creating 12 weatherproof static interpretive display signs to teach on wildcrafting. If this is awarded, we still don't know, this program dovetails on much of what we are presently doing, but allows for the self-education without the walls, it's outdoors, for the many visitors and locals who have limited visitation time and cannot attend our annual classes. In a time of COVID, gardening has become a fast-growing pastime. And what better locally to plant than native plants? The direct grant is for $30,020, and the project might begin immediately upon notification of the awarding of the grant. It'll take 12 months to complete, and we're just waiting, and sometime this month, and we're already halfway through. We did make it through the first and the second level of the screening. All that's left now is they're going over our financials. So I'm pretty hopeful, and keep your fingers crossed, because it would be a very big help for our public outreach program. I want to thank you for your time on this and allowing me to share what we've been doing. If you have any questions, I still have some minutes left, I think.
Kathleen, thank you. I'll go ahead with the directors and start with Director Hahn.
No, I don't have any questions, but thank you, Kathleen, for all that you do and continue to do for the community to both represent us and inform our customers and advocate for water conservation and planting native plants. You know, me being a biologist, I'm thrilled about that. So thank you.
Yes.
Director Floyd.
No, I don't have any questions. I was speculating today that we're done for the season at the farmers market, or can we predict on that?
I will address that in my report on the next segment of this meeting. I have that prepared for you if you'll just hold out.
I think I can wait.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Director Unger.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathleen. Really, you do so much. And yeah, the virus stopped a lot of things for a whole bunch of people. And just seeing that, seeing how much we are out there in the community, so many things that we do that we couldn't do, that's that really brought it home. And gosh, you're still working on stuff. I'm looking forward to having the plant sale. And the wild crafting, that's great. You've got every Friday in October. And then how is the swamp cooler program proceeding? Could you go into that a little bit more, or is that part of
On
your
the what? On the what?
other program, or is that part of your other presentation?
I can't make out what you're saying, Rebecca.
Oh, I'm sorry. The swamp cooler program?
Oh, okay. It has been reduced in size. Tomorrow, I have dates that I'm calling to set up appointments with. We have about 10 or 12 locals that will be testing, and some of the people are not necessarily in our area. Otherwise, I have some that are here in our area. Tony has already started with putting meters out there more towards his area. It's the whole area that the whole project is encompassing, but it didn't start out that way. But we have been promoted to Mojave Water Agency as the key player who's keeping this thing going. And I don't know, there seems to be anticipation for great results, and yet it's been nothing but struggling to get this thing off the ground, and yet they really want this to happen. So we're moving forward. It started, and Mark, you're welcome to add in, because he's part of this too.
You're muted, Mark. But I mean, Mark, you're muted.
Could you hear Mark? I couldn't.
Sorry about that. Census and Aquametrics is actually donating 100 meters towards this project too. So of that 20 that got installed in the ground, we've got 80 more of those actually available to us. So, and another part of that study is the district's also working on providing UC Davis with some information too on water usage across the district, because they'll be doing somewhat of an intertwined study of their own using some of our data as well. So.
Thank you.
Is to, as the state looks at, like, water use limits, guidelines, I mean, they're looking, was it 50 gallons?
It's, you started breaking up again, Rebecca, for some reason.
Wow.
Write it on a piece of paper and hold it up.
The swamp cooler study is to see how much water that we use out here as the state decides on what the water use per day should be going.
I think that's a yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I think it was, will that information be used for the state to consider as part of their future water restriction decisions? And yeah, that's something that they want to put on the table, and something that they approached UC Davis with to look at as well. So we're kind of coming at it from both directions with that. So.
Any other questions?
No, I'd just like to make a comment. Thank you very much. I think you're spot on. And, if anybody's really interested in what we're doing at the district, you certainly have captured it, and the essence of what we do. So for those that are interested, this was a great segue into that whole process. Thank you very much.
That was overdue, so thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there's any action on that, and I'll move on to item 8.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
The question.
Oh, comments. Yes.
Kathleen, I too want to tell you how much I appreciate the work you do and the comprehensiveness of the kinds of things that you're presenting to the community is amazing. It's part of the delight of working with the water district, for me anyway. And obviously disappointing that this whole COVID-19 interrupted the flow that you've produced. But I thought that you had called me about being on that swamp cooler.
Tomorrow. You'll get the call tomorrow.
Okay,
I locked in my 3 dates today.
okay,
Tomorrow, you get the call.
okay, all right, cool.
Thank you, Jane. We appreciate you participating.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
I apologize. Any other comments? Okay, and then hearing none, then I'll move on to item number 8, General Manager's report.
Perfect. Just a quick one. We actually approached MKA Architecture, who designed our last remodel that we did here at the district's office, to provide us with some scenarios and some drawings for our customer service and lobby remodel there. So we actually contacted them last week, and they've already got something together and want to meet with us through Zoom, of course, to kind of go over some of the ideas they have. So we hope to get a look at that next week. Part of that being that we've got a mobile office trailer coming to the district on June 29th, right? Or the 30th. On June 29th, that we'll have dropped out here, which will run customer service out of until that remodel is completed. So, and that'll be part of our reopening back up to the public as well. So,
Thank you. I'd just like to comment, if I may. I am anxious to see that front of the building more handicap accessible and easier for folks to get in. And I know it's long overdue, so thank you very much. And with that, I'll ask Director Hunt, any comments, questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Director Flohan?
Nothing further on that.
Director Unger? Okay, then we'll move on. And item number 9, Director's Reports, meetings attended, and we're back to Kathleen.
All right, a legislative update briefly. The State Water Conservation Model Ordinance that's kind of been looming out there, it's on hold, partly due to COVID-19, as well as the 2 drafted bills, SB 606 and SB 1668, addressing water conservation. They apparently are contradictory of each other, which is causing a train wreck on the passing of any type of conservation model for the state for the future. So that's all on hold, and I'm sure we'll hear more, but right now that's the latest on that. Also, the Alliance for Water Awareness and Conservation commissioned Robin Kobali's Summer Tree Institute to create a virtual online, I think it's 5th grade through 12th grade water education virtual program. And it's called Water Enabler of Life. And it's going to be made available to school teachers, homeschool teaching, to the public in general. And it's going to be loaded onto Mojave Water Agency's website when it is complete. The target is fall. It's going to be loaded with tutorial videos and experiments and all sorts of kid fun things to make learning about water fun. So that's kind of a positive that's come out of all, you know, they're making lemonade out of lemon. So we're looking forward to seeing that. And then lastly, on the farmers market, because of COVID-19 not relaxing the market's protocols, they have to space out all their booths, which eliminated a bunch of vendors. Initially, I went back because I was considered essential. I still am. Water is. But when I stepped away again, she happened to have a farmer who wanted to come in from far away. She didn't think he'd last, but he's driving in from Bakersfield every weekend.
Wow.
And until there is a vacancy, she still has to be spaced 3 feet apart every booth. Until she can either bring more in or there's a vacancy, we are first on the list. So Tom, you don't have to worry. I'll go back with or without you, but you are missed.
Thank you.
We're still waiting and we're on hold. That's where we're at. And that's my report. Thank you.
All right. Mojave Water Agency TAC Advisory Committee, and that's Director Flohan.
Yeah, I'll group some of this together. There's a list of all the meetings that were attended, and I did attend all of them. There was the TAC, and then there was also the board meeting up there at Mojave Water Agency. And the one thing that was common to both meetings was this thing about the delta and things that can be done to preserve the delta. And one of the things that's being debated quite a bit, and there's, I think, some court things going on with this, is some sort of a governor's portfolio on the delta, and there's some codification about things being structured that will preserve the delta. The delta, can you hear me? That delta is where the San Joaquin River and the Sacramento River approach and then empty into San Francisco Bay. And that area there is a huge resource for various types of wildlife, from birds to fish to plankton, for crying out loud. It's a big deal. Chinook salmon enter into the thing also, which is fishermen, and that's an important revenue source for them and the state. But anyway, the part that's relevant here is that these plans will call for anyone that does an urban water management plan to explain what they're doing with regard to resiliency in a way that is measurable. What we are doing here, to modify or preserve the delta. And so we would have to know whether or not we're getting water from the delta, what we're doing with it, and how we are going to be preserving the delta. This kind of stuff, it went on at both meetings up there at NWA, and they are not happy with this at all. Apparently, this is confusing to me because a lot of this stuff is apparently in flux right now, even though some of this is codified, but the specifics are in flux. But their concern up there at Mojave is that some of there's a tendency, they say, for some of the optional things that are listed that could be done to preserve the delta can later on by evolution become mandatory. And that can cause all sorts of report writing issues, structural issues in terms of how we do our business. We would always have this, this need to consider the delta with everything that we do. And that is a rigidity in the water system throughout the state that is unnerving the folks up there at Mojave Water Agency. And they are actively monitoring this, and I think lobbying this too, to try and make sure that we don't get regulations coming down here that are impossible. We know what those are like with chromium, for example. But anyway, that's between those two meetings, that was the part that kind of stuck out as a major deal. There was a lot of talk about that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll move on to the Citizens Advisory Council, and that's Karen Tracy.
Right.
I think Karen's with us.
I am. I'm on
Hey,
camera. Hello, everybody, and thank you for turning it over. I'd like to comment that our meeting on June 9th was attended by every single member of the team. I'm so proud of my team for showing up. In some cases, it was the first time that they were attending a Zoom meeting. So way to go, everybody. I'd also like to thank Kathleen and Director Flowen for showing up. General Manager Ban brought up the subject of the wastewater treatment strategy. This was our second review of that item. Two of the other members of the CAC, Barb and Sherry, were present along with myself 10 years ago when the original treatment strategy was written. And we know the wording of the amount of money that was going to be set aside, and we're wondering what the report back was regarding that amount of money and why they thought they couldn't see it in finance documents. Mark assured us that the money had been set aside, and following, he couldn't bring a number at the top of his head. So later on, he sent us an email showing us which item it was accounting for that money, and it was there. It had not vanished over the 10 years, and it's continuing to increase since everybody who builds here has to contribute to that fund. General manager updating future information. As a result of the pandemic and 0 service terminations, the district lost a certain amount of money. And my vice chair, Gail, asked, since it was a state of emergency, would any of that loss of funds be refundable, be reimbursed because it was a state of emergency? General manager said that that was possible. That was the end of that discussion. Overlapping on Kathleen's talk on the low income assistance program, for this year, she already mentioned that the funds have been set aside into that account for the $50 per person to help out, $50 per person per year. The CAC has already had an outside in our own private meetings about asking the board to consider upping that to $100 in a conversation between General Manager Ban and Gail. An arrangement was made that Gail would have something written up about how to approach, how to have the verbiage, how to have that discussion with the board, and she might be attending the Finance Committee meeting on July 7th in order to bring that further to a board meeting. We went to a roundtable from each of the 10 of us. It was interesting to hear from Sherry that the kerfuffle over the fee structure, what was it? Susan reported 32-year-old
Standby fees.
Standby fees, and she had actually seen that posting in the newspaper and was concerned.
Wow.
Same sort of discussion.
Wow.
Karen Cernka took it upon herself to decide on her homework being reading the entire new wastewater treatment strategy.
Oh, wow.
She'll be reporting back to me at our next meeting, which will be on August 11th. David and Karen Morton contributed that it was just so nice to be present at a meeting of the CAC. We were all there and we were all speaking to each other. Jeff had an interesting situation in which he conversed with General Manager Ban about a situation up on the Copper Mountain Mesa, and could General Manager then come back to us as the result of the situation and speak to us about water theft, what that does to the district, what that looks like, and whatever he has learned in his position regarding water theft. Thank you, everybody. And our next meeting, I asked for adjournment. Our next meeting is August 11th.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, wow, very informative. Next item is the most riveting of all committee meetings, and Director Unger at the Finance Committee. That would be on June 3rd.
Yeah, is my audio okay now?
It's still broken, yeah.
Oh, okay. Bob, why don't you go ahead? Because we covered all of that at the
We're pretty well up to speed in terms of the report from where we were with a special meeting with Ann and the Finance Committee. We've approved, obviously, the budget, looked at all that. I want to thank the Citizens Advisory Council, because the standby fees was an issue. We did look at that. And I thought Director Flowen did an excellent job last meeting by, I thought very systematically walking through the reserves. And you're right, Tom, that the LAIF account is there. And I was a little surprised because there is a paragraph in line number with our wastewater account. So I think it's growing. I can't say that I think it's, we're not going to be able to do much with what we got. We might do a study or two, I think, but we'll get there. And unless there's some questions, that's really sort of we're up to speed, I think, with the Finance Committee. And with that, I'll move to Water Resources, and that's either Director Hunt or Director Flowen.
Gary, you want to handle that football? Gary?
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see if we can unmute him.
How about you, Tom?
Am I there, or can you hear me?
You're muted,
Yes, sir.
Gary.
Oh, I got it.
There you go.
I got it. Sorry, I
Thanks,
was
Gary.
muted.
Yeah, I was.
First, I wanted to comment briefly on Karen's report and say that for some time now, I had hoped that we would go back and revisit the level of assistance that we were offering to provide to people that need assistance with their water bills. So I'm really glad that you're taking up that initiative and that Gail's working on it, and that you'll be providing us with some input to consider. So thanks for that and all that you do. And then on the Water Resources and Operations Committee, I'll try to just be very brief. Mark covered the return to work policy from COVID-19 and talked about how they synthesized down a very lengthy, I think 95-page document from from Counsel, which I'm sure was very thoroughly considered and very beneficial to the district, and got it down to 35 pages, but I had to relate having developed something like that for the Mojave Desert Land Trust. It's a really important thing when employees are coming back to work to make sure that you have very clear health and safety procedures in place to minimize the potential for infection, even though it's very important to get work done. And also, he gave us a pipeline replacement status update, including the Saddleback and Sunburst tie-in, work on Tilford, and installing 3,000 feet. And then the rest, 50,000 feet, will be installed in the next year to year and a half. And that will also include the four-log work, because the four-log project was delayed due to COVID-19. He also talked about, we discussed upcoming groundwater recharge and the possible banking of new water, and also that we have 2 reports in the queue, as with the other local agencies, including Mojave Water Agency. We'll be doing our urban water management plan. And I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, that we've retained or are considering Kennedy Jenks, who did it for us before. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And then also we're doing a resiliency plan that includes cybersecurity considerations, and I believe that's American Water Works that's doing that. And that will be about $150,000 for the 2 reports. The requirements make it more expensive than it was before, current requirements. And then lastly, Mark updated us on our conversion from having underground technology incorporated to our underground utilities checks, and migrating that over to checks performed by a Joshua Basin Water District employee. And that's an outgrowth of significant, very, very significant increases in proposed by UTI for their fees. Basically, they went up from 10 to 15,000 to 50 to 80, and then I think now $120,000 to $150,000 a year. was what they were proposing. So we did the smart thing and brought those services in-house, and I'm sure that's going to work out quite well. That's all I got. Anything from you, Tom?
No, you covered it. I do actually have notes on that, and you covered all that I had.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Rebecca, I'll move on to Mojave Water Agency. I don't know if your audio's up or not.
How does it sound?
Oh, you're good now for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually had a whole bunch of meetings, but I'll quickly go into the Mojave one. But I just want to say this whole thing with this water resiliency, I think it was Director Hunt, you and I both got a copy of the governor's report on water resiliency. Remember that from the beginning of the year? And Mojave did have their own comments to it. Sorry to hear that it's from Tom that it's really causing all these problems and stuff, but you know, I guess it's not a surprise. Well, they had a board meeting on the 11th, and they had a presentation by Nick Schneider. He's their water conservation and forecast manager. And he reported on their funding this year for their strategic partner grants went to Hellendale, a community services district, to help them complete their smart meter replacement program. I guess it was like $175,000 in the strategic partners. They say they start taking applications, and then by the time it gets to the end of their budget year, they're ready to see where their money is and look at all the different applications that come in. I mean, we were in on that. High Desert was in on that. But they're using they're going to replace 2,800 meters with the Census iPearl meters. And this will help them get the meters installed and the radio tower that they need. They also approved the $25,000 contract with Golden State Labor Compliance. They're working on an extension of a pipeline project up in Adelanto. It's a $5.4 million pipeline extension, but they want to make sure that they meet all the different state labor laws having to do with prevailing work, wages, classification, apprentice registration, payroll records, reporting to the labor commissioner and all that. So they felt it was well worth the $25,000. They also approved the annual extension of the joint funding agreement for Cooperative Water Resource Program with USGS. And Mojave puts in $361,000 and USGS puts in $67,800. But it includes a lot of basin-wide groundwater and surface water monitoring, very extensive new mapping program for the Mojave River and all the underlying geohydrology, groundwater sampling for Lucerne, and that's just some of the stuff. They also had an ad hoc committee report. It's a water management committee that's trying to work on the overproduction in the Baja subbasin. A couple of years ago, Mojave purchased 2,100 acre-feet of supplemental water for what they're saying is a rapidly depleting subbasin. And last year, they purchased 7,200 acre-feet of base annual production rights from this GenOn deal that they made last year, which was a decommissioned power project out there. They bought the rights for, I don't know, it was like $10 million or something like that. But this ad hoc committee is still looking at how they can buy maybe more water from the water production rights. Can they bank imported water there? Even talked about raising water rates. And Director Ventura, he observed very dryly that revenue from the current rates are not good. And they had 21 items on their closed session agenda after that meeting.
Wow.
And a lot of them did deal with the Delta, different Delta stuff. And just, it was all over the map. It was an incredible amount of stuff on that closed session. Just dealing with all the different partners that they have. It was everything from, well, Oroville, still working with Oroville, the Sierra Club, state water contractors, Metropolitan. I mean, it was incredible. And so when they closed out that, I also had a, where was it? Oh, we've had a couple of ad hoc meetings for our COVID response and stuff. And I think Beverly included from the May 27th meeting that we talked about, because we were talking about opening our facilities, and of course now Mark is working on that, getting the lobby fixed. But we thought we'd be able to start having, all of us there in the boardroom at our last meeting on the 10th. It seemed like all the other directors were very happy to just do it from home. So as long as we're still, cases are rising in San Bernardino County, they're not going down. We're okay out here, but I think in the report, the county, the state says, before reopening, all facilities must perform a detailed risk assessment and implement a site-specific protection plan, which I think, Mark, that's what you've been working on that with Sarah and Jeff, I believe, at Beverly. Train employees how to limit the spread, how to screen themselves for symptoms, implement individual control measures and screenings, disinfecting protocols, physical distancing guidelines. So all that stuff that you're seeing in other places that you go into that have the plastic shields, the markers on the floor, and then, if we can get testing is very available. The county has a program where they actually bring the tester to you. So we could probably get, everyone tested that wants to here. And so to open the boardroom, I mean, we have to deal with all of that. Even if we just open it to directors and our staff, public would still be by Zoom, I would urge everyone to get tested. I'm getting tested again next week. And Jane, I got to let her know they're no longer offering the serology. Unfortunately, you're lucky to get in on that. But we have to be able sure that we can physically distance all of our directors and staff who are on tables and the dais. Wear face coverings, provide our own water bottles. Certainly no one comes if they're not feeling good. How we could still have Bob Stevenson come, he's distanced enough, but he would also have to comply, wear a mask and stuff. And everything would have to be thoroughly disinfected, wiped down by our cleaning crew after we left. So I think I think we're going to be meeting by Zoom for quite a while. I don't think anyone really minds that. And when we get the report, Mark, that we can look at, what you guys have put together, that would be great. And I think that was it for my other reports. Yes, I think I'm caught up.
Okay, thank you. I just had kind of a point of order here for the agenda, and I just noticed this. We do not have an item on the agenda for legal counsel report, and I'm wondering, I see Jeff is with us. If there's any objections, I'll ask if there's any legal updates at this time that Jeff would like to inform the board, and ask that be put back on our regular agenda if indeed that's appropriate. Jeff?
I had not prepared anything, but I can certainly work with staff to put that on the future agenda and bring back any legal updates that might be relevant on future agendas, certainly.
Thank you very much. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just
No
noticed
problem.
it and thought, well, we normally get a council update. And I'll move on to item number 10 then, future director meetings and training opportunities, Mojave Water Agency Board of Directors, June 25th, that's Vice President Unger, and the Joshua Basin Board of Directors, July 1st. We've got another meeting coming up. Finance committee meeting is July 8th. And Gail, I'll be looking forward to seeing you, because this is long overdue. I know we've talked about the assistance program, and maybe you might even want to shoot for more. And the water, yes, Rebecca, I said that. Water Resources and Operations Committee, and we have Director Hund and Director Reynolds.
You just saw my eyebrow raise.
Yes,
I can't believe.
Hopefully, Mike will be back from wherever he is. And Mojave Water Agency Board of Directors on the 9th, and that's Director Hund. And with that, I'll ask directors if there's any comments, and hopefully I won't miss anybody tonight. Director Hunt, do you have anything? Okay. If he comes back, let me know. Tom, Director Flan.
Well, I just kind of wanted to remind everybody about how effective our staff is at finding money and also using money to save money, that kind of thing. You know, we bought all those tractors and such and all that. You know, I see we budgeted $267,000 out of our standby money for that. I was driving by that group of heavy equipment that's on the highway, and I noticed on one of the tractors there's some claw-like devices on the back. I don't know if that's an appurtenance or or what they would call those things when it's added on there. And then I thought about how years ago we were, I think we were discussing as something in the budget or as an expense, that we were spending something like $10,000 to scarify, that means plow, our recharge basins. And that if we had our own equipment, we would save that money. And then when I look on this summary of charges things that are listed here on 9 of 15 and whatchamacallit, it says that recharge maintenance and repair with a cost of $3,000. And so it looks like, you know, we talk about how we save money, $1,500 on not having a engineer's stamp on a report. Well, you know, we're saving money with also by having our own equipment and the manpower when they're available, because they're busy, to be able to go over there and maintain those ponds without having an outside person come in, which costs a lot of money. And then the thing about the grants too. We talked about the pipe project to bring water down here from Hesperia. Well, really, we only paid for about 16% of that because of all the other creative things that happen, and also in cost sharing with the other people that take advantage of that pipeline. It was some sort of a similar amount, maybe 14%, to bring the water to our recharge ponds from the pipeline that's up there on near La Contenta. We only paid about 14% of that because of grants and such from different people. Mm-hmm. So I just think the staff, if there's an idea that this is a spendthrift organization, I am just simply not seeing. I'm seeing innovation and excellent management on the part of, in particular, our financial people to get money from elsewhere if we can. And when we do have to charge our ratepayers for something, then we're making the most of that money. And I'm very proud of that. And when we have the farmers market, that's one of the things I like to promote. Our former general manager, Kurt Sauer, he said something to the effect one time that he has been in a lot of organizations over his lifetime, and that's long. He's a white-haired man. You know, when he came here, he's never seen such a culture of thrift as the one that we have here in all of the organizations that he's been associated with throughout his professional career. So I just, you know, I'm proud as punch as with our staff and how well they use the money that they do get. Thank you. That's all.
All right, Director Unger. Director Unger.
Nah, no, I don't got anything.
Okay.
I just want to check one thing. I guess as we're talking about future agenda items, that we will soon be seeing the wastewater strategy from DUDEC. Mark.
Yeah, correct. That's planned on one of the meetings in July coming here. So.
Okay, great. That's it.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you and everyone stay safe. We want to remember those that are in harm's way and those that are most vulnerable. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye, so
Aye.
moved, so done. Thank you, everybody.
You're
Good
here.
to see
Yeah.
everybody. Good to see you all.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
Mm.